Go. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Leaders and Libraries Season 4. Whichever part of the world you're going to be listening to the guest of the day, welcome back. After successful 3 seasons of having 74 global guests, we yet have one more guest on the day of Season 4. And I'm going to have the honor to introduce him before handing over the conversation piece to the gentleman. So today we have Amit Kataria, one of the leading known HR leaders in the Indian corporate space. And I'm somebody who's been on LinkedIn for long and pretty active there. So I know the kind of work that Amit's been doing there. He's a CHRO of Wilfy Technologies, Asia's 100 HR power leaders, one of the top 50 CHROs for 2023. And you see him on multiple platforms on C-suite panelists, as speakers, and also a great book lover like me. So it's lovely to have him here. Thank you so much, Amit, for accepting the invitation and coming on the season.
Thanks, Rajiv. I'm honored today to be here and talking about to you and about this great book. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. I reciprocate the same feeling. Uh, it's a great book, right? And I was happy that somebody picked this book because normally this book doesn't come in the genre of a regular choice of leaders who want to speak on. So it kind of made me think and very intrigued that it's an interesting book for a lot of young leaders and young people to listen to you and probably help themselves in their own life's journey, right? So I'm not going to talk about the book. I'm going to leave it to you to reveal the name of the book and tell me why did you pick and all that. But before that, my first question to all the guests, which is always an inspiring story for me, is how did books happen to you? When did you fall in love with books, and how was the journey for you?
Great, Rajiv. And an audience would laugh on it when I answer it. I wasn't a book reader at all till
Uh-huh.
my late 30s. Okay. So it only happened as a mechanism to kill time during the air time. So when by virtue I had to travel lot, and there were long haul flights to North America and Europe, and that was something I needed something which kind of add values to that. So one of my friend, just given the book at that time, I'm talking about almost 10 years back, and it was a very science sci-fi book, nothing relating to life. I picked it up and I finished that single book with around 400 pages in single flight. And that was a flight to, I think it was flight to Europe in Belgium. And from there on, I don't know what, Rajiv, but that became my habit to
Mhm.
always carry a book when I'm airborne and or whenever I'm traveling. So that started as a journey. It kind of kept building upon, and then now it's a time when wherever on the weekends I have any time to kill or any time to spare, I would say now, books are my favorite companion.
How lovely, how lovely. When you spoke about travel, I can so relate to this because people like you, me, who are book lovers, travel is the best opportunity and time to really grab the book and read while we are waiting at the immigration or waiting for the flight or in the flight. You get so much of me time, and along with the book, you can just sink into it, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, bang on.
Yeah, superb. All right, so that takes me to the second question on the book. Among all the books, so many of them on leadership, you must have read so many of them, Amit, in your own ascendancy to the CHRO seat. What made you pick this book? And tell the audience the name of the book and tell us why this.
I would. Okay, so Rajiv, this book is a very interesting book, and I encourage all of you to at least read it once in your lifetime to understand the meaning of life. And this book name is When Breath Becomes Air. It is written by Dr. Paul Kalanithi, and it's a memoir where he defines his journey from being in medical school, and then it's a journey on his practice as a neurosurgeon in hospitals. And then, which is again very important part, third aspect of it, it deals with when he himself becomes a patient of a metastatic stage 4 lung cancer, and which ultimately took his life. Very interesting take from the part it starts as a very cherished life, which becomes a life who helps other, and then it becomes a life which
Yeah,
is looking for a meaning to sustain
true,
and strive itself. So
true,
that's
true.
the kind of holds you. It tells you and it tells you what makes life more meaningful in the face of death. That is something kind of caught me with this book, and this is one of the top 3 books which I always keep with me. I have read it many times, but a copy always remain with me. Just seeing that poster gives me that hope and tells me that life is very momentary. What you do with that is what adds a meaning to it, and that's what it is. And one more thing, Raj, I want to tell you. This book is referred to me by, was referred to me rather, was my current CEO of Menfi, Vikram. He just in a walk that asked me a question, what do you read, what kind of interest you have, and I said, okay, fine, I'm a very avid reader. This go whatever comes to me, and he referred this. Ever since I read it, it's something I just couldn't take my interest off. And then I read another few big books on the same line. I would recommend that. But then this is a book by Dr. Paul Kalanithi. Name is When Breath Become Air.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. And I can so relate to this. It kind of reaffirms the fact that there is so much in life beyond what we are currently doing in terms of work or personal life, isn't it? It's a very deep work by the author and the doctor himself. So I think all of you, I would also second what Amit is saying. You should pick up this book and read it. Primarily, if you are in your 40s and you have a second life or second phase of life, as they say, you're looking at something new, different, and you figure out what you want to do with life, and you start looking at meanings beyond the materialistic elements of life. I think this is a classic book that all of you should pick up. I've had my own reflections very, very deep. I've had certain losses in life during the Corona times and after Corona, and I've had certain good times. With all this that all of us go through in life, I think this book is a great piece of reading for everyone. So I think I recommend all of you to go and pick it up. I was recently carrying this book when I was in Dubai for a work, and as I was reading through the pages for this conversation, 4 of them came and said, "That's classic book. I've read it. It's so good." And all 4 of them were people from different parts of the world. I said, "Lovely. What a great book to talk with, Amit. Once you're back, I'm going to talk on this." So thank you so much, Amit, for choosing this book. I wish and hope that all youngsters who want to listen to this conversation will go pick up the book, and you should pick up the book and read it. Great. So a lot of things in this book. It's a heavy book. You can't do justice to it in this 30 minutes of conversation. But 3 things that caught my attention. I thought I'll talk on that. First one, as part of Paul's journey, from his college to his medical journey, becoming a doctor, one of the leading doctors, he talks about an experience of an anatomy lab where he talks about certain conversations he had and how was the experience of working during that time. When you go through those pages, something happened to me. What did you pick as life lessons from that anatomy lab experience of that?
Rajiv, you're very relevant. And I tell you, in our busy lives, it's so easy to caught upon on the daily routine and lose the sight of what we call as mortality, right?
Yeah.
We, in our own individual sense, think that we are the center of this earth. Everything revolves around us, and we are the one who is holding everything together. But we lose that sense of mortality, and we say that this all daily routine becomes our priority. So Paul Kalanithi's book is a powerful wake-up call, and it tells that how precious the life is, how momentary it is, yet how precious it is. And that's what this book precisely deals with, tells you that. This also encourages us to reflect that what really matters to life. We see the title, When Breath Becomes Air. Air is something it's so granted. You won't even bother about when you're breathing in out. But just imagine for a second that this whole air you are breathing in goes away in a second. You won't even survive for more than 120 seconds, would you? And that's what this book encapsulates and tell us. What we cherish today now, Rajiv, is just momentary. What we should be cherishing is our life, is our time on this planet, our time with family, how we should be more resilient. And then more importantly, when you read across the pages, you become more familiar with the concept that whatever everything happening through you, it takes you to somewhere in a journey. Correct. Your end goal is what? what you're supposed to do, and how you deal with that. So that's how it's so beautifully captured by Paul. An interesting fact is that Paul did not finish this book. It's after posthumously, his wife Lucy, she was also a doctor, kind of completed it and then published in 2016. Paul died in 2015 itself. So this is something aspect of a reflection of many lives together.
Mm.
Many people contributed, but revolving around, and Chell is the same thing, that what matters in life is what you should be starting to introspect first and see these passing phases, or the things which we feel matters to us are not really the ones which matters. So
Yeah.
don't lose sight. Keep yourself up. Be looking forward to what life is throwing at you.
Beautifully answered. You're very right in saying this. I mean that the title itself is so powerful. You know, it just tells you that end of the day was utna hi hai. Nothing beyond that. You know,
Yeah.
second mein khatam.
So this book is not, despite it deals with death, Rajiv, it's
Yeah.
not depressing read, not at all. No, you if someone like me who kind of started a journey very late with the books,
Mhm.
I see people getting away emotionally, carried away with the books. And
Right.
this book, despite so heavy on dealing with very sensitive subjects like death,
Mm.
it still keeps your interest. It doesn't go you depressed, but rather it always inspires you to look forward in your own meaning of life as an
Mm.
individual. And that's what it's very, very full. And so it fills you with love, it fills you with hope, it tells you about resilience. And that's
Yeah.
what the beauty of this book is.
So very true. I relate. That was the next question. In fact, you answered it. When I read through the pages of the book, there were moments where combination of fear and hope both were playing in my head. And I was trying to weigh around, am I more fearing life and fearing the onslaught of death, or am I being more hopeful of the fact that whatever I'm going to live on this planet for the rest of the years, what could I do differently, like what Paul and his wife did? But I think, as you rightly said, end of the day, all the pages of the book are all filled with hope, though there are stories of, gloom and sadness, etc. But I think it's a great story for everyone to pick up. So, super, super. I'm going to talk
Celebration of
about.
life, Rajiv, celebration of life, this book tells us how
Oh, that's
to
a nice
navigate
place.
among adversity, and a source of inspiration for leaders and non-leaders alike.
Yeah,
This is the source I would recommend.
I agree. I agree. I think whenever somebody's feeling a little low, a little dejected, or probably things are not happening the way that he or she is aspiring, this book can just bounce off and tell you that you're actually worrying about something that does not warrant this amount of worry at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, beautiful,
Exactly.
beautiful. Very true, very true. That takes me to the next one, which is interesting for me. As part of the treatment phase, which is the second phase of Paul, they have multiple visits along with Lucy to the oncologist. And in one of the conversations with the oncologist, the person tells that you both are handling this to the best. This was a great response, and Paul goes on to elaborate the meaning of that statement that the oncologist told. How do you interpret that, and what advice would you give to the youngsters who are in the mid 30s, touching 40s, and looking at a larger life?
Right. Rajiv, I remember, if I'm not wrong. So the oncologist, he saw a couple of oncologists from the time, he was first diagnosed in the first
Yeah.
phase, and then he recovered, it relapsed and many things. So this is the phase, I think, he was talking to Dr. Emma, right? And this time, they were in the second phase when, cancer relapsed.
Yes.
So Lucy and Paul are a great example of how do you confront the mortality in the face of
Mm,
all adversity, right?
mm,
It tells, and I will come to that, what Dr. Emma meant, and what it tells to the young people. So it probably is a great way of reflecting upon how you cherish the relationship, right?
right.
How do you strive for the meaning in life?
Mm,
How to
mm,
live with integrity, right?
mm,
Lessons that are arguably would say most of us neglect in the face of the busy of life, or whatever we call them, and we
uh,
kind of surround ourselves with this whole hypothetical, as I said before, that the center of earth is you, not something. So
mm,
this is what the reflection is. What I tell, and what Dr. Emma probably went from this, in my limited sense of wisdom, is that, it tells about there is a strength in adversity, right? Despite facing the terminal illness and extraordinarily challenging times, Paul and Lucy showed remarkable resilience. Right?
Right.
Their reaction to this adversity can be a very significant impact on the experience of life of all.
Beautiful, beautiful.
If we go through, we will learn, right? In all relationships, as you see that, husband and wives and all. After a time, and that's a precise, after 40 and all, you start taking these relationships or for very granted. The loves, I would say that the initial charm of that, attraction fades away. It's more now becomes more deep, more love. And then most of the couples don't realize it, Rajiv. Young couples, old couples, or whatever. And they are just lost in the transition phase about that race we are going, who will come first. And the beauty of that whole journey of this ultimate race you're running or whatever gets lost. And that's what probably Dr. Emma went, that this strength in adversity between Lucy and Paul was remarkable. She been teaching, or she been taking, and she was a teacher as well, other than oncologist. That's something give a great strength to both of them. And second is the power of support, right? I think if Lucy wasn't there, Paul would not survive those after diagnosed years. He would have gone much earlier, given if they both had a daughter together, right? Even after that. So it's support system which has a meaning for you, which kind of gives you during these critical times. This system played a very vital role for Dr. Paul to remain upbeat, to do something, and he went back as a practicing oncologist,
absolutely,
neurologist, oncologist to the same hospital he was treated with. That's what it tells. It's a strong signal that if you feel that you can do anything, it's your support system that gives you that feeling, right? So that's a other thing. And it tells about the mutual understanding they both had, emotional support Lucy gave to Dr. Paul. And third point, I feel, Rajiv, was it tells us how to live in uncertainty, right? So if you're not aware what's coming to you tomorrow, or maybe if you are aware that you won't be there tomorrow, how would you react? And that's what Dr. Emma, when it mentioned that, though it was very, very clear that after the second relapse, Paul has a very limited time, but then it gave more meaning to their life, both as a couple, both as a practicing doctors, and both as spouse or maybe support system to each other. So these are the three things I would say, that is, one is in strength in adversity, second is the power of support, and third, I think, is the living with uncertainty are the three most compelling messaging coming out of the statement of Dr. Emma. Absolutely. And I would say the same thing to the young lads or not so young lads.
Yes. Very true. I mean, I think all the three of them that you said are beautiful inferences. In fact, strength and adversity, support system that he spoke about, and the uncertainty that is in front of you. It plays beautifully in your corporate leadership journey as well, isn't it? How do you see that playing in that role?
And it's, I think this whole meaning, as we say, or the whole life principles is just not applicable in silo or isolation to one aspect. So if in the corporate, as we talk about, this living with uncertainty is always there, right? If you see how it's going, the current economic scenario, no one expected what you traditionally call as the safe havens for the job, like the big giants, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook.
Yes.
Nobody expected them to lay off employees like they did.
Yeah.
But then once that started, Rajiv, this whole wave of uncertainty came, and it acted as an opportunity for few, and it destroyed few of the aspirations.
Yes.
That's what it tells in a corporate scenario, that always be prepared for something coming to you. And then second part is, when this comes to you, do not just surrender, be resilient, right? If you are resilient, that whole lay down would become a challenge for you and look forward to you as an opportunity. And you would conquer more. You will come out as a brighter person, more successful soul in life, and then be more joyous and happy, whatever advent of this difficult
Very true.
circumstances.
Very
Being
true. Very true. I think you're very right because all of us have experienced, especially people like you and me, in the ascendancy of our job roles, the uncertainty element and adversity element kind of just increases as we go up and up. People think it becomes more comfortable up, which is not the case. The higher you go, these
yeah,
play in different dimensions in our life, right? And the ability to handle these alone creates the differentiator between a good leader and a great leader, isn't it? I think these 3 points are very powerful and great inferences. I mean, thank you so much for that. I'm going to take you to the next one, which was very interesting, and I must admit that this Darwin's statement made me think a lot because I had not used the word organism the way he has put it in the sentence. The moment you remove the word human or Homo sapiens and replace with organism, suddenly you start figuring out it is not that trivial as one can actually think it to be. And the sentence he says is the defining characteristics of an organism is striving. And I read it multiple times. How do you see this in Paul's life? And how have you seen this striving characteristic as a trait in you as Amit in your own journey? I mean?
very relevant, and it's a very deep question, Rajiv. I don't know if I'm capable to answer that or not, but I will take a shot and we'll try.
Yeah, yeah.
And to start with, so I won't even go. I will say it as a cell, surviving of a cell. I was recently watching. There is a series called Cosmos, right?
Mm,
And it's a beautiful. It's on Net Geo, and it takes us of billions away from what we are time today.
mm,
It's spread. So let's say from the time we know universe, it's spread in 12 months. Let's say
mm,
January to November. And what we know life today is the 31st day of
mm,
December as per the calendar of that cosmos, right? If
true.
you make that cosmos calendar. And Darwin has been covered in that. So in order that striving thing of Darwin, I will say that every cell on this
Mm,
universe, I would say,
mm,
is here to survive,
mm,
and then adapt and then evolve. And that's
yeah.
the whole story of life is every one of us, being humans, non humans, every life.
Mm,
So we first we try to live, right? At least being in the existence. And then
yes.
as we evolve, we try to adapt and become more customized to our environment. And then, of course, we want to, whatever is happening, we want to evolve and be our next version and be best of it. So in
Mm,
context of, as you asked, what Amit is, same here, right?
mm,
So as I was growing up,
mm,
in the corporate professional sense of it, I first looked at what I would be doing in my life in order to survive as a successful person, or maybe what I want to do. So once that is established, Rajiv,
mm,
I adapted in this career path to
mm,
become most matching candidate because there's
mm.
always a competition, right? There
Correct.
are there are more competition than you realize to take the
Yeah.
space you are in, be it your
True.
professional or personal life, right?
True.
There are
True.
all these challenges thrown at you. It's just you probably are sitting at one place, you see up or down, you will
Mm,
realize in that one shot that how
mm.
competitive the life is. Forget about
Completely.
your professional life. So
Yeah.
once that is there, once I survived that and I went into career, I adapted. And then the question became for Amit Kataria was that how do I evolve, right?
Mm,
What should I do in my life, professional life, to become more successful and happy? I would say for
mm.
me, the success is more Rajiv is being more joyous, being more happy in what I day to day do in
Right.
my activities.
Right.
That's what Darwin's striving principle is very apt in telling me that this is all three things matters. And in Paul's context, I also want to tell you that despite all the things happening, diagnosis, terminal ill connected, he did
Mm,
not succumb to the circumstances.
true.
Never once. There were few of the episodes where he was feeling very low. He
Yeah.
did try, he did took that journey to the path that what it is. But his fighting spirit, like all we should all have, never died. Every day
Correct.
for him, even if there was that his blood indication level was 1 point up, it was the cause of celebration for whole family. He,
Absolutely.
that's what, I think it surprises me as a human, that we are just not made up in overnight. It
Yeah.
took us billions of years to be what we are today as a human.
Yeah.
DNA, the genes we carried from the million of years away, Darwin got it very right. And I think, in generations to come, Rajiv, it
Yeah.
would be this scenario where we will try to be best version of ourselves. And what I'm kind of little worried, I would say, sometimes I
Hmm.
think about it as
Hmm.
a race,
Hmm.
as a human race,
Hmm.
in this whole journey of becoming better and better, we somehow losing that meaningness of life, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of becoming more materialistic for all of us. The
Yeah.
old earthy possessions we want to attain ourselves. If I have a sedan today, I want to go to the bigger SUV. If I have a bigger SUV, it's my next aim is a jet. If I have a jet, I would probably want to go to next level of yacht and all that. So these things are what I'm personally observing, spreading from one small sect of people to the greater sect of people as we are growing, as we have more resources at our disposal in economies of developed or developing. And that's something I think my audience or our audience to listen to and reflect upon at least very briefly once, that
Yeah.
whatever you have spent your day today, what meaning did it serve? Did it help anyone? Were you happy doing what you did in the whole day? And that, if that answer is yes and puts a smile on your face, man, you lived your day like king or queen. If not, then no, something to be done about it.
No, I agree. I completely relate because as much as this book is so powerful, one more book that I can came through my head when you were talking is, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Okay.
It is just a 100-page book. Amit, if you're not read it, you should read it. It's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, who
Okay.
was who was in the camp during the World War time in Auschwitz and went through the kind of horror experiences and finally came out alive and today ended up being a coach and a leadership facilitator in that part of the world. It's a great book. There was a moment where he spoke about an incident where all the prisoners were standing in the line for the morning soup, and you are the 10th person or the 12th person standing, and there's one guy who's serving one ladle of soup. That's it you get for the day. And it's a concentration camp, so absolute torture state. The ladle goes inside, and when the person scoops that day, when you get a couple of peas along with the liquid soup, Victor said that was a day of celebration because I was happy because today I just got 4 peas in my ladle scoop
Wow.
compared to just soup in the earlier days.
Yes.
And I was thinking, that's it. We worry about मेरे पास iPhone नहीं है, मेरे पास ये नहीं है, वो नहीं है. Person is happy for just 4 pieces coming in a scoop. I mean, can you believe that?
Yeah, and Rajiv, that's the hard truth, right? And hope मुझे लगता है, and I feel it personally as well, that it starts from, the more you accomplish or more
Yeah,
you possess, you lose value for that possessions, right?
true.
So ask the value of a meal to the person who hasn't eaten for days. Ask the value for people, as Paul said. Nobody could tell value of the air we breathe,
Yeah,
more than Dr. Paul's. And
true.
it's something, I just recently in my life have lost few friends due to, this terminal cancer. And I was taking rounds of all the big hospitals in Gurgaon, meeting
Mm,
oncologists, treating
mm,
them.
mm.
And for the sake we say that, okay, we do this, we do that. More importantly, when you reach to that stage where, there's a certainty that they it's life threatening and you have very limited time,
Mm.
you start facing the ultimate challenge, that what I want to do with this remaining time,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And there, when you say, okay, I could have done this, I should have done this, and many
Mm,
questions come to it. So my take is, Rajiv, and I may be wrong, that just imagine once, and probably I will take lots of beating by saying this. Just imagine if you are not there tomorrow on this planet, what would change in your life today?
yeah,
That answer, I think, will shake many of us. That what we are doing as the way we are leading our life is something needs to be changed for that finding that purpose, greater purpose of life. It could be anything in individual perspective, but just introspect once in a day, going, cherishing the life you have, the relations you have, the people you have, friends you have, the meal you are eating, the water you are drinking, the air which is there for you. These are the greatest
How blessed we
possessions
are.
you have. Yes.
Yeah.
Forget about the cars, the houses, the jobs. They are the one which are meaning to take you to these things which are freely available to you. Cherish them. And that's Rajiv, you were absolutely correct telling me.
Very true. I think great input for a lot of youngsters here. Nevertheless, I'm going to ask you the last question as we are coming to the end of this conversation. With all your years of experience, I mean that you've grown so well in the corporate world and you've acclaimed yourself in achieving certain successes in the materialistic world that we talk about, along with your understanding of life and meaning of it from such great books. Two bullseye advice that you would like to give to the youngsters in this show.
Wow. Okay. So, okay, I will tell you.
And keep
And
it
I think,
bullseye, just to the point.
fine. To the point, one is that, find and pursue your purpose. One thing. And I want to be short. If you want me to tell the context of Paul, I can let it. But then it's very, very important that you realize early on, you find and pursue your purpose. It will keep you happy always. Second, embrace life's uncertainty. Most of us will get very fizzled out, depressed, sad, giving any small, even the smallest challenge or difficulty we face. So do not go to that path. Embrace what is coming to you as an opportunity and do not get scared away. So very precisely, first, find and pursue your purpose. And second is embrace life's
Uncertainty.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. I think these two are very, very bullseye because the moment you prepare yourself to do these two, you're not worried about of the tomorrow and you can just go with the flow as life offers whatever it has for you, isn't it?
Yes.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Amit, for this beautiful conversation. A very, very heavy book, a very, very deep subject, but I think you made it very interesting for all of us. Thanks a lot for taking time. Thanks a lot for choosing this great book and having this conversation with me. I completely enjoyed the conversation. I hope you had a good time.
Same here, Rajiv. Thanks for inviting and have a great. And I will definitely go with the recommendation you just gave. Thank you
Yes,
very much.
Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Fun. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.